CATS stands for Community Access Television Services, and actually in the history of the station, it started off as Channel 7. It all flowed from the Telecommunications Act of 1972. And in that act, it allowed for a public channel, government channel, and an educational channel. And then the Bloomington City Council met, and they said, yeah, let's give this thing a try. Public Library deserves a huge amount of credit for being the midwife of the early years of community television.
I'm Bob Trinkle, Director of the Monroe County Public Library. I'd like to welcome you to a tour of our library and our new facilities.
And I think Bob Trinkle, the director, and Sally Hunt were very instrumental in having a television channel at the public library.
The first thing that they did was the Watch a Book program, which was started in May of 1973. And then after that, they started budgeting to do their own video production.
This is the other section of the audio-visual department, the library's video facilities.
They budgeted $16,000 to buy 2 Portapacks, half-inch black and white reel-to-reel video Portapacks, a 3/4-inch machine to play back with a studio camera. And then the cable company approached them about the possibility of doing a blanket public government educational access channel.
Hello, this is Shani McConaughey and Carrie Brinson at the 3 o'clock news show. All right.
Kids Alive was initially a replacement for Thursday afternoon films in the auditorium. I would take equipment out to schools and show kids how to use television.
My knowledge of children's literature, pedagogical skills needed to help kids move along. I think that's why they decided that I needed to probably help with the Kids Alive program.
We shared the philosophy that with kids, if you just give them a little bit of knowledge base to use the equipment and then the freedom, you'll be amazed at what they're able to do.
David Alexander and Shani McConaughey with Lee Hamilton for Kids Alive.
First television program completely produced by children, for children.
Ready?
The Vital Quiz Bowl. Volunteers and tutoring adult learners, they used to put on a quiz show every year. It was insane because in addition to doing all of the governmental coverage we were doing and all the public event coverage, suddenly we're doing a game show for a week.
Scientific?
RoboCop?
Sorry, that's not correct. I'll finish the question.
That being said, I think it was the greatest PR work the library ever did. I love seeing neighbors on TV not being really comfortable in front of this thing. It's entertaining. And
The $1 Million Man?
I think for a week every year, the library was truly the center of the community.
No, that's not correct. You were close. $6 Million Man is what we're looking for.
Inflation.
No points.
When the Lotus World Music Festival started, we got in on that very, very early. And that was a wonderful, wonderful thing to cover something very close to my heart, music.
Hi, my name's Addison Kramer. I'm here with Cats at the annual Soul Food Festival at Karst Farm Park.
I chaired the Soul Food Festivals, and at one point I came here to learn how to use the camera because I wanted to videotape one of the festivals. And I was taught how to do that by one of your staff, went out with a camera, videotaped the event, came back, and they patiently taught me how to put it together, add music to it, and that's just to archive that event, which I'm glad we did that since we no longer have the Soul Food Festivals. So that was a great positive experience.
When I started the Pets Without Partner show, which was a weekly tour of the animal shelter, first time that had ever been done anyplace, there was a national controversy back in '87. I was shooting the Pets Without Partners program, and a member of the Humane Association said, here's a tape we'd like you to play. And it was called Hidden Crimes. And it was a tape about how animals are experimented on. So this was a documentary about opening cages and letting animals out. So it was the first of what was then referred to as animal liberation. After it was in national news, New York Times, the Monroe County Public Library Board met, and we worked in conjunction with a professor at IU School of Law, Herbert Terry, and came up with a statement of purpose, establishing CATS as a dedicated constitutional forum. And really, that was one of the big turning points. Once you establish a constitutional forum, you can't just get rid of it. It's like building a public park.
I was always really happy that CATS was based here in the library because I felt that the librarians, people who run libraries, they're used to controversy over content. It seems to be never ending. Every generation has it. And so they're in a good position to deal with that. One particular one I remember was there used to be a program called J&B on the Rocks. It's a few guys who do kind of skits and interesting offbeat stuff. And, they'd be pretty edgy.
They're very smart, very witty guys. But they were also pushing the boundaries of what was legal to put on television.
Welcome to J&B on the Rocks. I'm J. And I'm B. And this is a joint. This is a joint. And we're going to smoke it now. A joint endeavor here.
Which the local crowd loved. I think it was on Thursday nights at 11 o'clock. Back in those days, Wired magazine called it the coolest show on TV.
And I remember they did an episode where they were supposedly smoking pot, which wasn't legal anywhere back then, on the courthouse square.
I actually later asked them about that, and they said, nah, it wasn't weed. But I don't know what to believe. Those guys are great storytellers.
And people saw this, some people, and they just went nuts.
A cable TV show in Bloomington may be a bit too controversial even for a college crowd.
And they said, this is horrible. People are breaking the law. They're promoting drug use. All this happening on our courthouse lawn. You have to, get this program off the air. And so there's quite a bit of debate about the First Amendment, what should be the role of CATS, how much should CATS moderate or control the programming. It ends up it should be a complete open forum. CATS station had to spend a lot of time over the years going over where exactly are the boundaries, where are the guardrails, what can we and can we not allow to be on our channel.
What they see is the important issues in the legislature and what's been.
I really do think our governmental coverage of CATS, second to none, and just as an example, that CATS was covering local governmental meetings actively from 1974 on. C-SPAN didn't begin until 5 years later, 79.
Right now, we're producing over 300 plus government meetings a year, plus about the same in local coverage of events. So we're doing over 600 programs a year, which matched up to any other television is a lot of programming. I don't know how many hundreds of hours that is a year, but it's a tremendous amount.
CATS, in association with what was then called HoosierNet, developed the first fully digital offering on the internet of everything we did governmentally. So that it was both live as well as a digital backup, which had never been done before by anybody, no television station anywhere. So I think that was in '99 that happened.
I think that in Bloomington, we take for granted the transparency of government that we get from CATS covering those various government meetings. And, I can remember when I served on the city council, we'd often have one of those issues and someone would come into the council chambers kind of huffing and puffing, and they would come to the podium and say, I was just watching this at home on CATS, and I just had to come down here and tell you how you're all full of it or whatever. So when you think about all the controversies, the challenges, the things that happen in our community, you can go back in real time and get into a time machine with those tapes, right? So you can go back and relive the entire battle over PCBs, a toxic chemical that industrial sites ended up putting all over our community. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to clean it up? Are you going to build an incinerator? What are you going to do?
And the potential for this to become a statewide or regional toxic waste disposal center.
Things that became the major issue of local elections. And with that now, you can go back and you can see, what did the mayor exactly say then? What were the protesters in the city council chamber doing? You can see it all.
Last count, I think there was something like 60,000 tapes, which for a small town, nothing compares to that.
To me, that's part of history and being a historian. You want to archive these things that are going on in our community. Who knows, 100 years from now, people will question what went on. And CATS is doing that for us, archiving our history. You can't put a price on that.
You know, I think most of my happy memories of this place again are working with the best people I've ever known in my life. I'm sorry I only have 2 kidneys to give because these are great folks.
They're really dedicated to getting it done right, and the neutrality aspect of what we do is tremendous. That's the sort of hill that we will die on. We are a neutral entity that covers these meetings, and the benefit for that of the community is that they can be guaranteed that we cut nothing out of the meetings. Meetings are intact in the way we record them. There's no censorship on anything. And they do it, for the most part, with a smile on their face, which is great. People in the community really do care what CATS does. Whether that be covering their local events, whether it be covering government meetings, and they know that that's all going to be kept. We're archiving the history of Bloomington and Monroe County. People really care about that.